So guys, very good morning. Let's continue with the next part. So yesterday I have introduced you and we'll start the things from very zero. Okay, that is about the JavaScript, right? Okay, so I consider in such a way that you guys are 1 minute. I consider in such a way and I start in such a way that you guys are very new in JavaScript. So I started from how to write the script as a tag in HTML. From there, we'll discuss tons of interesting concepts and tons of examples I explained to you. Motto was not show you the fancy examples because JavaScript is very common language. Lots of fancy examples you might see in the market. Okay, but the interesting thing would be I have given you the approach, the concepts, so that if you know the concept and if you try to build something new in the JavaScript and some kind of new implement you want to implement and through the JavaScript, you can do it. Okay, some of the small example I've taken yesterday. Okay, so today we'll go a little bit more in deep and a little bit more in advance in the JavaScript part. Okay, so further wasting the time, right? Let's directly jump to Visual Studio Code. Okay, and let's start doing the things, right? So let me load our particular folder, whatever we had created yesterday. JavaScript workshop, right? And this is a folder we have created, some of the file we have created. Okay, so let's go and create some more new files and do the things from very zero. Okay, lots of interesting and advanced concept we are going to discuss today. Let me start with the concept called, in JavaScript there's some concept called box. Okay, nothing fancy, but there's mainly three different kind of box or boxes they support. Typically means when you click on some JavaScript code, they will give you some kind of pop-up kind of thing, right? So for example, yesterday we have done one of the box called alert. Okay, so how to work? So let me go and create one new code. Let's say b.html. Okay, and I'm going to write a script. Start script crop, because you know in the HTML file only we have to run JavaScript code, and script is HTML tag, right? To instruct the browser from here JavaScript code starts. Let me write a function called LW, and here you guys know about alert. If somebody calls this function, alert function will print some message for you. Okay, in the alert kind of box. This is one kind of box actually known as alert box. Okay, so let me run this, right? So how we run this function? You have to call this function. One of the way to call is we can use a one button. Okay, paragraph, division, right? Whatever way you want. And I say click here, click here. So anybody click on this button. So we have on click event, and we say call this particular function. Okay, so this is one of the way, pretty simple code we have done all in this part. Okay, so if I go to this particular file, b.html, you can see this button come up. If I click, this kind of box or pop-up come up. This is called alert or alert box. Okay, similarly guys, we have some more box here. But one of the things alert box will do for you is if you have some other code for the first line, second line, right, maybe third line, right? So a lot of data you have already in your HTML page. Okay, so when I refresh this page, okay, click. Okay, so what I want to show you, if you haven't called the alert yet, everything will print it for you. But when you click, it hold your page. Okay, some process is going on right now. Now if you try to click anywhere, it is not working actually. So alert is one who gave pop-up, and alert you and hold the entire process what is going on this page. Okay, so that's one of the new alert. So maybe in Ajax today we going to change this functionality somehow. What I mean by this we'll discuss today. But as you click on alert, and now if I do to do anything in this page, it won't work. So just keep this small thing in mind. Okay, one more kind of box we have. Let me comment this line. And this is called confirm box. Something like uh, something like alert. Okay, but what this will do for you, when I run this box, okay, they give me again the same kind of pop-up, hey, but this time they give you option okay or cancel. Okay, so what is one of the use of this? Maybe sometimes you click on some form and they pop up and say, do you really want to submit, yes or no? So it's okay or cancel. Or if we click on some link and before you been redirected to the new page, they ask you, do you really want to redact, yes or no? Okay, so I say okay, so they do something for you. If I cancel, they do something for you. What? So if I say okay, behind the scene you are sending a boolean true. If I say cancel, they're sending boolean false. Okay, so it means the return of confirm, let me store in a variable called x. And if I try to print the value of x, so what you will find, if I click here, if I say okay, you can see true come up as an output. But if I say cancel, false come as an output. And it's not a string, it's a boolean. And guys, if you know if anything is a boolean, right? Can you hold for a second, please? So, if anything is a boolean, we can write some multiple conditions. For example, let me write something like this. I say if is if as a if or else x is equals to true, there is a boolean, then do something. Okay. Else, if it's not true, obviously it's false, then do something. So these kind of conditions we can write, and this is pretty simple syntax of else. So if this match, only when if I say okay there, do something. Okay, so let me write something like this. Um, do you want to redact something like this? The message we are just printing here, nothing special. Okay, so if somebody say yes, I want to redact, so I can give one window to location. This keyword we have discussed already, and maybe we have a link and say if click on the link, we will redact you to the Google. So maybe some XYZ website or some other app, or I can say the the web API. Okay, so one more word I just want to tell you guys: if you can control your window, this is the window. Right now we are changing our URL. Okay, so we are controlling a window, or maybe we can click. Uh, they ask you to launch a new window to small size. So anything that you can control on your Windows or on your browser, typically this is known as BOM, browser object model. Okay, so this is the one of the example of BOM, browser, because this is a browser and some of the objects of browser we are going to control somehow. So location is one of the keyword that we had already discussed yesterday. Okay, so if somebody click yes, I will do something, and somebody can say cancel, what you want to do, that will be your choice, or maybe you can print, or maybe don't do anything. That's okay. Okay, so if I click on this code, if I say cancel here, behind this in this and false, so they would be in the same page because we are not doing anything. But if I click here, if I say okay, so they will help me to redirect to Google. Okay, so why it is not working? Because it is a, I think, document dot locus. Okay, so locus. I think this document locus. Click OK. And what is happening? Why they are not going? Why? So 1 minute. So if x equals to true, it is true. That's right. So it should go right. www.google.com is also right. Document location is also right, I believe. What is happening? Uh, so guys, maybe some kind of behind the scenes, some of the code might not working. There might be some kind of error is coming. So one of the way to debug that we have some kind of errors going on. So normally in your browser, we have a debugger console or developer console. Okay. So if you press function key 12, if it open debugger console for you. Okay. And let me refresh my page and go to console and try to do something here. So whatever you're doing or what kind of error is coming, they will throw the error over here. So from here, we can debug and see what is going on. So click here, this output come up, say, okay. So it is written here, there's some kind of challenge. Document location is not a function. Okay. So because obviously it's not a function, right? Okay, so this is the one small by chance on the flow I write the wrong thing, but this debug console help me to debug any kind of error. Let me cancel this, refresh, click here, okay. And they take me to Google, right? So that's what guys they are doing. So again, this keyword we have already discussed, one of the example of bomb browser object model, but but I just want to show you one more type of alert, one more type of box that's called confirm box. Okay, so like this we have 1 minute. Okay, like this we have one more kind of box typically used in JavaScript. It's called prompt box. So what this box will do, it is help you to take the input directly from the browser. If you know HTML guys, in HTML we have form input tabs, but there's a different point. But if you want to take the input directly from your browser, okay, so you can use prompt. So let me show you the output. Let me comment the entire code from here till here, okay. And let me write one new function here, not function I already written. Okay. So inside the function, let me write a keyword called prompt, okay. Or let me write here, enter your name. Okay. And so what it will do for you, so if I run, they prompt me here guys, this prompt is done by your browser, not from your HTML page. And whatever name you type here, enter, this name will return to this function. And here guys, now where I want to use this name is stored in a variable and use it. Maybe just for testing, I'm using this name. And or maybe I write here my or your name is right, plus some space, then plus, then another. So technically what I'm doing, I'm concatenating two string. Your name is whatever name you are providing is become one string and alert will prompt to you. Okay, just for testing. Okay, so click here. Your name is Vimal. Okay, so they print your name is Vimal. Now, whatever output input you give, based off of this input, whatever maybe you want to do. Okay, maybe whatever input you do, you want to update here, whatever you want to do, this image you want to download from the internet. So that will be further your requirement, guys. So I'm just showing you these are multiple things you can do as a boxes. Now, how you use these boxes, that would be your lookout, right? So multiple different places we can use this prompt. Okay, but understand one thing, this prompt directly come from your browser, come from your window. Okay, that is the reason that is the reason we can also write a keyword called window dot prompt. Okay, so if I run this, nothing will change, because technically whatever you do in the windows is normally a part of window keyword. Technically, it's known as window object. So if you write prompt or dot window prompt is same thing. If you write alert or window dot alert is the same thing. Okay. So whatever that is related to your browser or to window, normally we start with the keyword called window. Okay. If you don't write, so they by default understand that you're talking only about window only. So it's a by default. By default means if you don't write or write, they understand it's part of window. Okay. So this is one thing. So these are, guys, some of the basic core of boxes code of JavaScript. Okay, let's do some interesting concepts, and that is one of the main part for today. Okay, how we can integrate or connect, I can say, JavaScript with CSS. That's what I'm going to show you. If you can do so, lots of interesting animation, guys, you can plan. Okay, so what I mean by this, let me explain to you. Okay, what is CSS? Very quickly, let me introduce you in 5 minutes. Okay, then we move to how we can connect JavaScript with CSS. Okay, so what I'm doing right now, let me create one more new file. There's a c.html. Okay, and here I'm putting one division, one division start, division close. Okay, and it is good practice. I told you yesterday, guys, whatever HTML tag you are creating, always try to give a unique IDs. We don't know wherever and where we have to use this. Well, let's say my division first. Okay, so let me create 2 or 3 divisions. Is the different IDs D2, D3, and this is different content we are posting here. Okay, so nothing special about this file. It's a pure HTML code. Okay, but in this HTML code, if you want to give some look and feel to this division, okay, maybe you want to change the color, you want to do some, change the border of this, change the background color, lots of things, right? Almost whatever guys think of in the animation world, we can do with the help of CSS. That's called style sheet. Okay, so if you want to use CSS in HTML, there's a keyword called style. Okay, style start, style close. Technically, we are calling or using the CSS. Okay, so there's a lot of different kind of style sheet available in the market. CSS is just one of the example, but it's a market standard. So if you don't type anything which style sheet we want, they technically call CSS. That's called cascade style sheet. Okay, and what we are doing here, we're telling this guy that we have lots of different kind of HTML tags or element. Okay, what I want, please go to all my division element. So I write here division. Then what to do, we'll put in the curly braces. What to do with the division. So I want my division change the border. One of the example I showed you today, so yesterday. Okay, and if you guys see the help of border in some of the document, you'll find first we have to provide border pixel size, then what kind of border you want to draw. This is one of the border type is dotted. Okay, and what is the color you want to use for this border. Let's say red. So what happened, wherever you find division, right, they will change the border of all the guys. Because by chance in my document I have 3 divisions, so all the 3 divisions border they put here. Okay, with the total line, but let me draw with solid line. So different kind of borders we have. Okay, so this dot lines come up. Okay, but now my recommendation is something else. Maybe in my code I have hundreds of division. I don't want to change every division border. Okay, I want to set only look and feel of this particular division. Okay, so guys, here the unique thing about this division has the unique ID. So guys, this ID can be used by JavaScript also, and same ID can be used by CSS also. So I can tell my division that we have an ID called D2, And because this ID, so normally they're written by hash. Hash means division is a main element, and any of the division who has ID D2 go there and only implement this style sheet, that's called style sheet over here, or this code over here, or this CSS only to that division. Okay, so if I refresh, you can see only that division been used. Okay, now you can apply all of your CSS knowledge, okay, to do the things. For example, by default, guys, they give this height to this division, so we can also say I want to change the height. Let's say I want to do my height to be 100 pixel. 100 pixel height count. I don't want 100% width to be used, so I can say I want to change the width. Let me use 100 pixel width. Okay, so only that much width to you. So now the user internally using that much space from browser. It means in this division, if I do on mouse over and try to call some function, for example, hi. Okay, so yesterday I show you when I go here also, this place also, because division use 100% width, so this will work. But right now we control the width of the division. Okay, now only over mouse work when I go inside this red box, because we can see the total area used by this box. So if I take the mouse here, then it pop up, otherwise it won't work. Okay, so something like this, we can just visualize for by the CSS, and accordingly we can write the JavaScript also. Okay, well, this is not a special, nothing special look and feel. CSS, we can do lots of interesting animations and other things also. Okay, with the help of CSS. Again, this class is not about CSS, so I'm not going to do further. But some small keyword I just want to introduce you about CSS that was very useful. Okay, so what are those keyword? And we'll use this keyword to tweak then by the JavaScript to create some interesting animation. Let me introduce one more keyword for by the CSS, I can say. Okay, so technically in HTML, guys, if you print something, so they will print in the order. For example, first this line print, then this line print, then this line print, then this line print. So by default, the same order that the way you write the code, and the same order they will print the things and they will show the things in the browser. Okay, so the position of this guy is before this guy, position of this guy is after this guy. Right, is like in this order or in this position they print. But technically technically, wherever you print anything, okay, so not you are printing, your HTML is printing. Okay, so technically if you talk about this particular this particular division or HTML element, they know internally what is their position. Okay, and normally, guys, position is typically calculated from the top corner. So you can think this side we have x axis, this side we have y axis. Okay, and this type guys things I already told you yesterday. So and this in the top is called 0 by 0. Okay, so this division know or browser know internally at which position or which coordinate they are, and they are measuring with respect to from 0 to 0 or 0 by 0 coordinate. Okay, this is called absolute. So position guys is always created calculated from the absolute. Absolute means 0 by 0. Okay, so what can I say here? I want to do something on this person. So whatever this person, this red guy has second division. Okay, I want to change their position. Okay, and say there's a keyword called position, and I want position with respect to absolute. There's a multiple other kind of position also. We are not discussing, this is not CSS class. Okay, absolute. And what I want, okay, I want this red box will go little bit in x axis. Okay, and guys, for this we don't use x and y here. Okay, we use a keyword called left and right. So right now, guys, whatever space they have in the left extra, I want to increase the space of in the left side little bit extra. What I mean by this, let me show you. So left, let's say I want they will go 200 pixel in from the left side toward the Y side. Okay, so it means if I refresh, this box now go this side. Okay, let me go for 500 pixels. Okay, far from the left side. So from the left, 500 pixels come up, then this box will go there. So guys, we can put our boxes anywhere, wherever we want. Okay, and also we can control y-axis. For this, we have a top keyword. So from the top, I want they will go 200 pixels down. Okay, so if I refresh, now 200 pixels they go down. Okay, so like this we can control this box, and this box we have a form, login form, you have images. Okay, maybe multiple boxes with your image gallery. So whatever the things maybe is a part inside this box, that would be your thing. Okay, you can put the instead of content, you can put images. That's the pure HTML concepts you can use. Okay, now this is a pretty straightforward CSS code. Okay, again I'm repeating, we are not going to discuss further about the CSS. But by having this knowledge, what I'm trying to tell you guys here is, again, CSS is like HTML, whatever type it fixed, it's like it's hard coded. Use it different. HTML used to show the data, CSS used to set some look and feel, nothing special look and feel I said here, but otherwise a lot of interesting, powerful animation with the CSS you can draw. Okay, but this much is enough for our further discussion on JavaScript. Okay, but CSS also, guys, is a static. So if you decide I want this width is fixed, I want this left is fixed, is fixed, right? So you write once, hard coded, refresh here, come up. Now after page load, now if you want to change the height and width of this box, okay, you want to change the position of this box. SS some advanced property in CSS we have by chance, but SS we can't do in CSS. Okay, so here the role of JavaScript coming to, guys. I told you yesterday, JavaScript give us a way to interact with our page after they load. Okay, so here, guys, I can take the help of JavaScript. How? Okay, so let me do one thing. Let's say my plan is something like this. We know the the position of this division is this one. Okay, now what I want, I want, as I take the mouse over this guy, okay, this guy start changing the position, means they start moving, okay, around this page. Or if I take the mouse out from this division, this top, it's pretty simple, predictable things you always, normally in the announcement keep on going on. If you take the mouse, the announcement stops. If you remove the mouse, announcement again started, something like this. I want to do. Okay, so how we can achieve this? So multiple way to achieve this, but I want to show you how we can achieve with the CSS. Okay, motto is not to show you this example. Motto is to show you how we can integrate JavaScript with the CSS. Okay, so let's do in this way. So what I want, okay, let me create one function for the JavaScript because we're going to do something for the JavaScript. JavaScript. Okay, and I'm going to create a function. Let's LW again. Okay. Now in this function, what I want, I want in this current document, okay, I want to do something on this particular position that get element by ID. I showed you yesterday. In this position, what I want to do right now, this is the function that will retrieve the reference of this particular position, means they know where this object located or division element located. Okay, now on the this on the top of this, what do you want to do? Okay, do you want to retrieve the internal content? This I already explained to you, but no, my requirement is a little bit different. Okay, this division, we don't have any CSS, but on the fly I want to implement the CSS without writing the CSS. Okay, on the fly means while interacting with this page, I want to implement CSS. Okay, how? So for this, JavaScript come with a keyword called style. With the help of a style keyword, okay, you can call any of the CSS property. Okay, so technically, border, height, position, these are the properties of your CSS. Okay, so by this keyword, you can use any of the property that you know that you will know in the CSS. For example, let me call one property called border. Okay, so the syntax is exactly the same. Okay, 5 pixels. Let me use solid. Let me use blue color. So if you know CSS, okay, entire knowledge of CSS you can put it. Entire knowledge. Okay, so right now nothing is happening because you have to call LW function. Okay, so how to call LW function? One of the way, it's very interesting. I can type here JavaScript call LW function. Hit enter. You can see, guys, on the fly they implemented, and this look and feel dynamic come up. Okay, normally we don't do this. Okay, so let me call LW function in this way. So we have paragraph. If somebody click on this paragraph, will call this function. So we have multiple way to call the, you choose what way you want. Okay, so refresh. So when I click on this paragraph, without reloading the page, dynamically some CSS implemented on one of my element. You see here, it is implemented. it means it means whatever knowledge you have of CSS. For example, let me very quickly use in this R. I also want to apply width. Width, let's say maybe 100 pixels. Okay, normally we give in the as output as a string. I also want to apply the height. So nothing new here, guys. It is exactly the CSS property. Okay, means what you write here top or what you know, you can exactly apply. Only thing, this is the extra thing you write to tell where to apply. And we are calling CSS. I'm the JavaScript. Okay, so refresh, click on this button, then this box comes. Okay, or maybe you can write also here on mouse out. Okay, this is also one of the event. It's not on mouse out. Okay, so if we take the mouse out from this D3, they will do something else for me. Let's say they're calling LW1 function. Okay, and in this function, what they're doing, they are doing something. Right? For example, I say function LW1. Okay. In here, what I'm doing, exactly the same thing. Nothing special. Okay, but I'm I'm changing the border to 0 pixels. That means no border, nothing. Maybe 0 pixels means nothing is there, or maybe you can also null also. I will change my width to, let's say 50 pixels, or change the height, let's say 50 pixels. Or let me use 2 pixels just to show you something. And let me use the dotted. Okay, so so we are calling this function. So guys, any kind of combination you can write here. So if you guys see here, as I take the mouse, this box come up. If I click here, this come up, then this come up. Click here, this come up, right? So again, because this is on mouse out, so if I take my mouse out, then this implement. Okay, so any kind of combination, guys, you can apply here. Again, more this is not the UI class, user interface class, to show you a lot of animation. Just I'm trying to show you how you can link these guys together and call from the JavaScript. That's my main intention over here. Okay, now let me show you something. Okay, so my plan is I want this pellet box, the red one. Okay, they start moving, right? First of all, I want they go to bottom. How? Here I can say my not top, because we don't know how, because browser thing vary. So for in your browser, the top may be at 500 pixels or 640 pixels. We don't know. So let me comment this line. Or the way the comment. Okay, let me comment this line. I just forgot. I don't know. So let me remove it this way. So let me comment this line, and I'm using bottom here. Okay, and let me start bottom with 0 pixels. Means I don't know what are the bottom, at what position you have the bottom. Okay, so if I refresh, the automatic guys go to the bottom. Exactly the bottom. You don't have to calculate. And I also want they go in my left 0 pixel. Okay, 0 pixels. Now what I want, guys, let's say this might be one of my image or advertisement, and I want this advertise is keep on moving. How we can do it? So keep on moving might not be so much fancy here, fancy here. But interesting thing is, just I'm giving you an approach, and this approach you can guys use for use for somewhere by doing some extra concept. Okay, so how we can do this part. Okay, so what I want, guys, this box will move in the right side. That is my motto. Okay, so for this, guys, what can we do? Okay, I'll tell let's say my function lw. Okay, just go and retrieve. Let me create a new function very quickly. Copy the code. Let me create a new one. Function, let's say move or my move or function name. And what I want, what I want in this document, get the element by id, and I know the id name that I want to move is d2. Okay, is d2. Let take the position of d2. Okay, and let me use an variable called, let's say, r1. Okay, and what I want in this r1, I want to implement a style. Okay, as one style already implemented is hardcore position absolute, we don't have to worry about. Already implement height and width, we don't have to worry about, it's already there. But what are things you want to change or add? So here I want to change my left position. So I want to change my left position. Let's say initial just for testing 100 pixels. Other properties already there. Okay, that's what I want to change here. Okay. But when to change? When this function run, and how we call this function, you guys know. Let me call by this way, my move. Okay, and let me comment this line. I don't want. So if I refresh, if I click here, this box will move 100 pixel this side. But I don't want this kind of quick movement. I have some kind of sharp movement they do, very clean movement they do, and slowly they move. That's what I want. Okay, so for this, what can you do? Okay, what can you do? Here you can use a very basic logic here. So let me start with, let's say, I equals to 0. Just very basic programming concept. And let me change the this guy value I. Okay, so it means initial position is 0 pixels. Very quickly it will show you. So 0 pixel only. If I change this to 200, so they will change to, sorry, 200. Here there's a two syntax, 200 or 200 pixels, both you can write same thing, no difference. Right, for JavaScript perspective. Okay, but right now, guys, let me start from 0. And what I want, I want to create a loop. The loop is keep on changing the value of I. Okay, and there's one way, guys, two way to create the loop. Either you can create a for loop that keep on changing the value of I, or there's one more way. Okay, you can call this function inside same function. This also kind of loop. So first we call this function, they go here, take the person, what value of 0, they implement, then I call the same function again called by themselves. Okay, and again they change the value. So we can call one function inside a same function. It is also like a loop. Okay, but here what I'll do, I also change the value of I plus plus. Initial is 0, initial 0, then it become 1. Again call the function, it become 1. Again call the function, it's going on, going on, going on. Like obviously it will be infinite. We can control but by some way. Okay, but it is going on. Okay, so let me show you how it works. So if I click on this function by this para, because we put on click here, what you see, you can see is very quickly they go this side very quickly. Why very quickly? Because you run this loop, this function inside this function, technically like a loop with the speed of a computer. Your computer's speed may be super fast, so this loop run change the value of I from I to maybe 10,000 very quickly, and they move it. So you can't see any sharp movement here slowly. Okay, so guys, if you have a requirement something like this in JavaScript, where you want to call one function inside other function, or the same function in the other function, and you want to control the speed of calling. Okay, technical knowledge, if you want to apply a delay. Okay, so I want this function will call multiple time, but delay of 1 second or 2 seconds or 3 seconds. Okay, so for this in the JavaScript, we have a function called set timeout. Is a function. They support two value. First, you have to give your function name. Okay, and second, you have to give your timer. Let's say 1000. Okay, so this 1000 millisecond. Let me go for 100 millisecond, 1.1 second. So same thing I'm doing, but the only difference is this function I'm calling. So this function I'm calling inside the same function. So again, loop. You can call other function also over here. What set timer is doing? They're calling after 100 millisecond. So there's some kind of delay come. So while calling, if you want to apply the delay, you can use this set timer. So now if you see here, and if I click, now you can see guys, there's a sharp movement of this box is going on. Slowly, they are moving. It will be infinite because I'm not stopping here, but you can write further if or else. Okay, and say after the value of I become 100 or 200, just go out from this loop or exit from or return from this function. So there's a different thing you can do. Okay, so while this box is going on, we can do multiple things. Okay, so example, I also want to change the left position, but at the same time I also want to do apply some style. Okay, and style I would like to increase the width of this guy. Okay, so initial width I know 100, but let me add I. Plus I also want to change the height of it. Initially I know 100, plus let me increase with that. I want to undo because this is the code we have written. Okay, so what happened guys, when I refresh, we click, as they move forward, their height is keep on increasing. Okay, and something like this, or maybe we can do movement something like this. Okay, as as they go to loop increase, I also want to change the bottom position with I. Okay, so finally you see here they go in this way. Okay, so but technically just by knowing very basics about CSS, very basic concept, Otherwise, CSS lots of interesting animation. Okay, but just by knowing this basic concept, okay, you can do a lot of things. But in the CSS, guys, I don't want to discuss further, but a lot of document you can find. Here, flip operation, this this guy rotate, and so for guys, if you see CSS flip animations, okay, so they rotate. So maybe some of the examples, some of the side you can find, this kind of motion. So this is a pure CSS. But with the help of JavaScript, you can do more interesting control. Same way, if you know the name of the keyword of CSS, okay. So example, what are the keyword they use here? Transition is a keyword. Okay. So transition, transform, it's a keyword. Okay. So you can rotate this guy with some degree. For example, let me copy here if they don't have further support. Okay. So let me copy here, transform this, let's say 180 degree, D2. Press here 180 degree, they moved. You see, if you see the inside text, okay. So CSS, right? It's nothing special. But what can we do, guys? Now we can control this transform keyword with JavaScript. Now here, guys, we can apply some number, and we keep on changing number. We can see this guy is rotating over it. So how we call again the same way, again style dot bottom dot transform and rotate function, and they rotate. And slowly as they move, you can see the animation is going. So the effect would be whatever the guys the variable they support. Let me try here on the fly. I just pick this value, transform. Okay, and the transform we have a rotate function, or maybe more function you will have. Okay, let me just for testing, let me transform for 90 degree this value. So what happened? This is the initial content. Okay, but as I click, where it goes, I don't know where to check this, but guys, you get the idea, right? I'm just picking this example randomly, but just try to check, right? I don't know, maybe some transform, maybe sometime depend on some other properties, but I just give the idea. If you know CSS, okay, these kind of keywords you can use. Again, these are the keyword background color, right? These are the keyword of CSS. Tons of things we have in the CSS to implement, but almost everything, okay, you can call from JavaScript on the fly. The only thing is you should know about the CSS. I just use some of the basics keyword here. Okay, some of the keyword might depend on other keyword. Okay, so just go and check what keyword they support on what keyword. Okay, but otherwise this is the whole and sole idea how we call CSS from JavaScript. Okay, or maybe you can do something like this, nothing very fancy, but something like this. uh, Something like this, for example, after certain number of I would like to decrease the number of I. So maybe I can write a condition here: if I is less than equals to 200, okay, then do this. Okay, but but else, if I is greater than 200, do the same thing. This called else. Some small changes on the code. Okay, and now this time do the same thing. Okay, but changing the value of maybe you can write a better logic here. I just want to invest my time on logics. Okay, just trying to show you small flavors here. Now based upon your idea, more logics you can do for that. So what happened? Maybe it should work the way I wanted here. I click, they are moving. box is increasing. After this box become around I become 200. Maybe my logic might be wrong. If I is increasing after I become 200, they don't go in if. Okay, and after they don't go in if, you guys see here, this is what is happening. It says stop here. Maybe they're not going in the else also, or whatever the logic I've created here. We got the idea, right? Okay, just go and change the logic. I'm very randomly I'm taking this example, nothing tested here. So just go and check okay why they are doing this. This is also one kind of small animation come up. So if you make it faster, faster speed, click. So this kind of animation maybe or make it more faster. Yeah, sometimes some images come up. Okay, also like in CSS guide we also have a circle. Okay, so like a circle effect or some polynomial effect, polygon effect come up. Okay, so it look like some animations pop up from the bottom. Okay, something like this. So nothing very fancy, but just I think you got the idea. Small changes in the code. Okay, tons of things we can do here. That's my small point I just want to tell you here. Okay, but otherwise logics and all things you can do here. Maybe you can write some kind of a linear functions program, quadratic program. Okay, so your animation will move in circle in some quadratic form. So again we can put your mathematics formula functions here like this kind of plus, and further animation you can do. Okay, or maybe this might be possibility as they go more move our the colors keep on changing, images keep on changing. So everything guys you can control with the help of this kind of logics. Okay, so guys, this is a very quick introduction about, not quick, is a core concept I explained to you, but now you understand. If you know this keyword of CSS, everything you can control. There's the one point I just want to tell you. Otherwise, just acquire the knowledge of CSS. That's all. Okay. Now let's move to next part. Now this topic is very much interesting. The topic that I'm going to deliver and discuss right now, and very advanced also. Okay. The topic name by this topic, guys, I can say lots, almost every application today is depend on this topic. Without this topic and this concept that I'm going to discuss right now, as such, none of the interactive applications today's world gonna create. Very simplest example is Google. Okay, so guys, this page we loaded once. Without further load or reload, I can interact with this application on the fly. What I'm typing, they know, and they are giving me the answer. Okay, so what is running behind the scene? A lot of things. If you talk about Google server, they have a pure entire search engine algorithms. Okay, there's a different point. but technically what I'm typing here, it is without reloading the page, it is going to the Google. Then they understand what I'm typing. I don't have to hit enter here. Without hitting enter, they give me all the answers. Okay, so it was not happening, guys. If you talk about maybe 10-15 years ago in the Google, right? If I'm not wrong, around 15 years ago, okay, what you type, you have to hit enter. Right now I'm hitting enter, just giving me a live search of the keyword. Okay, so right now I don't have to hit enter. Okay, they give me the live answer. Okay, so it is because of one of the concept called async. Okay, maybe in that bigger term I can use the word called ajax. So almost everywhere you go, Facebook, Google, right? Everywhere we have async or ajax, right? We use. So little bit advanced topic, complex topic, but I'll try to make this topic simpler for you. Okay, so that you can understand what is going on and how to implement this guide code. Okay, but before I start this topic, okay, and I'm going to explain you one more concept, guys, with Ajax, with very interesting practical. This concept called sync, and this concept called async. So these are two different concepts, two different purpose. What is use of sync or async? How to apply the code? When to use this? When not to use this? We'll discuss in a minute. Okay, but before I go for this topic, okay, you just to practical, just to implement this guy as a practical. Okay, you want to see how the practical of this guy work. So if you know how to set up the web server, again, it's not compulsory, but if you know how to set up the web server, that will be more realistic. Okay, and how to set up the backend server, backends. So you this practical would be, guys, more interesting. And for this, guys, we have already shared some of my video of CGI classes yesterday, that I start the things, how to set a web server, CGI web pages or websites on the server from very basics. So I think you guys might have go through those video. If you not, doesn't matter right now, just go through the experience of mine. Don't focus much more on CGI here, but I have to set up here first so that I can show you how the thing works. So what is Ajax? Give me some minute. I'll come to this topic, but before I go to Ajax topic, I have to first implement my backend server. What I mean by this, I also explain this point in a minute. It takes around 10-15 minutes. Then after this setup done, then I'll show you what is Ajax and how we can implement Ajax. Even though in the workshop we have just intro level of Ajax, but I just trying to show you guys Ajax in very advanced. Okay, so what I'm doing here very quickly, if I try to explain you right now, if you talk about these pages that we have created, it is running only in my laptop in double click. But if I want my these pages can be used and seen by anybody in the world, for anybody who is connected to me, that would be the right statement. Okay, so I have to put this pages in my server that's called web server, or sometimes also known as web hosting. Okay, so for this, what we have to create, we have to create one web server. Why we are creating web server? So let's say this is my computer or my laptop, and this is somebody else's laptop, and both we are connected somehow, maybe via internet, maybe local LAN. Okay, we both are connected. And guys, in the networking world, you know, you need an IP address. So this guy has some IP address. And what I do in this computer, in this IP address, I set up a web server. And on the type of web server, guys, I'm going to put my web pages. Why I'm doing this? So that anybody from outside who has a connectivity with me, they come to my IP and they can see my pages. So how to do? Pretty simple. Nothing special here. In my video also, I'll share those things to you. So I'm doing very quickly here. So for this computer, what I'm going to use, I am going to use Linux operating system. You can use Windows also, nothing special. I'm using for some purpose Linux operating system. Okay, and guys, this practical is very important for everyone, but especially I'm more talking about the Earth student plus the summer students. So everybody who are the Earth and summer student focus on this practical. Okay, because a lot of your applications, whatever guys you build on the top of machine learning, deep learning, DevOps, cloud. Okay, this Ajax is going to help you so much. The approach that I'm going to show you, you will get the idea because you know other technology also. So you guys get the idea how to integrate with Kubernetes, Dockers, and some more. And then after this, you can create a very interesting, powerful application by the Ajax or with the help of Ajax. Okay, so you guys especially think when I do in the practical, after I start something, you automatically start getting the idea. Okay, must just focus on this topic more. Otherwise, other students who are by chance in the only in the part of workflow, doesn't matter. So there's no prerequisite. I'll start the things. I take the things from very basics. Okay, so so I'm using Linux operating system. So I already have Linux. Okay, there's a software called VirtualBox, and here I already have Red Hat Linux installed. Okay, if you go to my video, the same OS I used. By chance, those who don't know how to install Red Hat Linux, they can use any of the Linux, whatever you know, CentOS or Ubuntu. Okay, any of the OS you use. Okay, so let me start this OS. Okay, and what I do after I guys start this OS, I'm going to set up web server. So how to set up web server, guys, is a one single line or two lines of command. so so let me show this command to you. Okay, just two commands, and then let me put the web pages. Okay, so technically this is my Linux operating system. We have some IP address. I'll check the IP address soon. Okay, but in the Linux, if you set up web server and if you put the web pages, so there's a fixed folder. The folder name is called var www.html. So if you want to put any of your web pages, or let me again repeat my word, if you want to put any of the web pages that you want to show to your final customer or to a client, it's also known as client. Okay, you have to put inside this folder. And the pages that you want to show to the client and the content that you show the client is normally in HTML form. And normally the content is HTML, normally the content is CSS, and normally the content is JavaScript. So there are three languages or three things that you always show to the client. Okay, so if you guys talk about Google, what Google is showing you, HTML, CSS, and if you see JavaScript also they show to us. So anything that you show to the client, why they so they have a proper look and feel, they can interact. Okay, these are the main three things. Okay, so these three things, what you show to the client as a page, are normally known as front end. And basically, guys, these are known as front end programming language. Okay, so in Linux, if you talk about web server, if you want to put any of the front end thing, you have to put in this folder. But there's a lot of things I don't want to show to the client. They only run in my server. In my server. Okay, maybe my client is looking for some data. Let's say I am a client of Google. I'm looking for some data. So what I've typed here, hit enter, it go to Google. Google behind the scene process this data and give back to me. How Google is processing from there, where they're searching, what database they're using, they won't show to you. What code they're using, which algorithm they're using, they never tell to you. It is there inside the server. We can't see what is there inside the server. So normally that the program they're using behind it, who are taking the request from you, for example, in this case, Linux world, and doing something on it. Okay, so for this, in the server, we have to use some kind of language. They are known as backend language. Okay, or maybe known as backend. So again, guys, if you go to my video, I explained this part in very much in detail. Okay, and there's a lot of backend programming language in the market, a lot. Okay, so we have an example called PHP, we have Ruby on Rails, we have JSP, we have Node, tons more. Python also we can use. So in terms of framework also available. Okay, like Django, like Flask, right, and tons more framework available. Okay, but technically, anything that is run only in server, the code is not given to the client. Server will only give you the output that are known as backend. Okay, and there are a lot of way to create the backend. One of the way that I'm going to use a backend using the Python language. Okay, so you can use your language. So this topic is not more related to Python, but I'm just using Python as a language, and Python is known as CGI. So I'm going to create a Python code, and if Python code will will work as for you as a backend language, then sometimes also known as CGI. So guys, again, my video, I explain this concept from very basics and more advanced. And for this, you have to put the code in a folder called where www.cgi. So in the simple form term, if I explain you, this folder we use for front end, this folder we use for backend. Anything we put inside this code will be given to the client. Anything, the things we write here, this code never give to client. It is a server program, backends program. It only run in server. Server will only give you the output to the client. Okay, that is a simple summary. I don't want to further discuss because this is not at all the part of this workshop. Okay, but just want to quickly explain to you. I'm logging to this system. Anybody who by chance don't know Red Hat Linux and they want to know how to install it and how to use it, so we'll guys use some video on Red Hat version 8 where I will explain you how to install it if you want. Otherwise, you can use any of your favorite Linux to do the same thing. There's some of the command may be different, but the logic wise, they are the same. And focus more on the logic of Ajax and the JavaScript. Okay, so just want to show you some extra thing, so I can create some interesting demo here. Okay, so let me open the terminal. Right now, there's a command called ifconfig. This is my network card name here. So my IP is 1.2 here. In my case, okay, so my IP is 1.2, something like this. Okay, and what I'm going to do, there's a one command in Red Hat Linux. This calls systemctl start http. That's all, guys. One command, your web server starts. Okay, so nothing very special here. Okay, it started your web server. So now this IP is now work as a web server. Now in this web server, you can host your web pages. How? And our plan is to create a front end with the help of HTML, CSS, JavaScript. So you have to put your code inside this folder. Okay, so I'll go inside this folder. Okay, I might already have some pages by some other demo. Okay, but doesn't matter. Normally, if you see, this folder is empty for you. So let me create some new page here. I'm using Notepad here. Let's say my page name is Linux.html. But in Windows, we have a Notepad. But in Linux, we don't have a Notepad. We have a gedit instead of the Notepad to create a file. Okay, and I write some small code here. Again, let me use normal division, start, division, close, my div. Okay, and I say here is somebody on click. We call alert function with some content high. Okay, and it's close. That's pretty simple. Some HTML and some maybe CSS you can write. All right, but some I can say JavaScript. Okay, but where I put this code in this file, but where this file is located, file located in this folder. Okay, so anything you put in the folder, it automatically hosted. So anybody in the world who has connected to this IP right now, in my case, okay, to this computer, only my other laptop in my room is connected, or my mobile phone is also connected, because my laptop and my mobile phone both are connected to same Wi-Fi. So both can connect to each other. So if I open my mobile browser, okay, and if I type this IP and my page name, I can see this content. But to showing the demo, what I'm going to do, so let's say this is my other laptop. Let's say this is my Windows. Okay, so if I minimize, so this Windows is a different thing. This is a different laptop altogether, and this Linux is a different computer or laptop altogether. But both are connected to each other by default. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll go to my Windows browser and type IP address 192.168.1.2, and then I give my page name. Okay, if I hit enter, you can see this output comes. So technically till date, guys, I'm putting all of output pages in my own personal windows. But this time, guys, this personal windows are getting the page from server that is based on this side. Now this server may be in the cloud. Anybody know the cloud, they can launch there also. So it depends, guys. The logic is same. Some steps might be different, but there's a whole and soul idea. Okay. So I don't have this code, but everything working good. So HTML come up, maybe CSS come up. If I click here, JavaScript also working good. If I see the source code of this page, you can see the entire code of JavaScript and CSS. So client can guys always see the source code JavaScript, CSS, and HTML. Why? Because these code is only run by browser of the client. The client browser don't see this code, how they run it. That is the reason these things are known as client side program. JavaScript, CSS, and HTML. So these are client side languages because the client browser is the one who run it. Okay. So this is one small term I just want to tell you. Okay. But if you don't want to present your code to the client, so you have to run this code at the server and only provide the output to the client. For this, you have to use server-side languages like PHP, like Node, and some other languages. Right now, I'm going to use PHP. Okay, because you want to run server-side code. So the folder name where you put the code is this one. So what you put inside this folder, it go to client. They can see the code. What you put in this folder, this code never go to client. It run on the server, means this computer only. This is my server, and the output will go to the server. Okay, so this is how it will work. So, but this syntax, this folder is for CGI coding, like Python. But if you go to Node and PHP, the folder name may be different. But logic-wise, what am I trying to explain you is exactly the same. Okay, so let me show you guys how we can create this program. I'm doing a little bit quicker over here because my motto here is not about to explain you Python. Okay, so let me say linuxword.py. This is page I am going to create. Okay, so I'm doing very faster because I don't want to invest time in Python. And if you know Python, you understand what is going on. So I'm going to use Python version 3 here. This is the way I'm doing. I'm saying I want to import some module of CGI, but I want to do server-side programming. Okay. Plus, I want to set also some header because this code will go to my client browser. So I'll tell my client browser the content I am going to send as an output. Output has a text type, HTML text type. Okay, so print in the same way. Then I want to give some new line here because this will work as a header. After header, you have to give new line so that they can understand further part is your body part. And then I am printing, let's say, hello. That's all, guys. So guys, don't worry, focus more about this code. But if you want to know more, go to my CGI video. I explain every bit over there. So this code has been created. Let me close the code, and I want this code will be run in my server in my same system. For this, guys, you have to make the code executable. This is a Linux command. So this code becoming green color means your code executable. So your server will have a capability to run it. Okay, so this 10-minute discussion, guys, is not at all related to JavaScript right now, but this setup gonna help you to understand lots of things about Ajax. Okay, but this extra things I've created here. And if you guys want to see the output, okay, just go to client and say I want to run lw.py. This page. But there's a page not found because this is a server-side programming in CGI. So path is a little bit different. Its path is CGI/bin. So I say go to this folder and where you find this file, go and run. And they give me the output back. Okay, because the difference here is if you go to your older code, you get the output. Plus you also get the code also. Because this is client-side programming, JavaScript. Okay, in this case, even JavaScript also we can do server-side programming is a different point, but in this case, what we are doing as client side. But if you talk about this example, again we got the output, but if you try to see the source code, nothing gonna come, only the output come. Server side code guys never give you their code. They only give the output, whatever output you want to be. So you control what output you want to present to this guy. Let's have it. Okay, so this setup is done. Now I want to show you one small thing, nothing very technical here. Okay, let me go to my main folder. Let me open my page called lw.html, and here I can guys create one link, is a HTML link. Click me. So click me. Okay, and what I'm doing, nothing, I'm just going to put some reference here. Okay, and here I'm giving the reference that that go to this server IP address 1.2. in this server, in the CJ bin folder, there's a page called lwpy. So that nothing, just I just give the link here. So technically you don't have to come to this page. Just refresh this page, link come up. If you click in this link, same page you will reach and you get out. So nothing technical or fancy here. Okay, but when I go for Ajax right now, you will see a lot of interesting concept come. But guys, this is not only about Ajax. After knowing this particular topic, you can integrate your JavaScript with multiple different technologies. So if you guys know machine learning, deep learning, IoT, DevOps, Kubernetes, Docker, so wherever you want to integrate, you can further integrate this concept. So I'll give you some idea, maybe some small demo what I'm talking about. Okay, so let me very quickly brief what exactly we want to do here. So I have two different pages, right? Right word would be I have two different URL. Okay, so one of the URL is one of the web page we have is, or maybe I can use the one of the web app I have is with the name called lw.html. Okay, so we have some things to be present here. Okay, and we have one more page or program running in some of the URL. It would be anywhere in the world, any domain in the world. Okay, but by chance in our case, the name of the URL or name of the page is linuxworld.py, Python. Okay, so though both the page has no link, independent page running in your server, independent page running maybe in other server, so no link as such. Okay, so what's the plan is, we can run this page separately. We can run this page separately. I already showed you. This is a different page, different URL, different page. Okay, but what I want, I want from this page. Okay, I want something like this. Okay, when I open this page, right, this page might maybe somewhere give me some link, maybe some button, for example. And when I click on this button, on click or on mouse, whatever way you want to process this, okay, internally it's not visible to us as a customer or as a client, or sorry, sorry, as a human being. It is not visible to us. But behind the scene, when I click this button, this page internally with the help of JavaScript, okay, go to this URL, okay, in such a way that somebody visited this page as a human being or client. They ask this page, obviously, if anybody go to this URL, okay, we ask this page to run, and after run, give me the output back to whom? The guy who come to you. So in our case, this page or this code page internet JavaScript go to this page. So this page give the output to our JavaScript, the JavaScript of this page. LWSTM. And guys, as soon as JavaScript received the output, this output come up. Okay, output, right? So guys, now putting this output with the help of JavaScript somewhere, maybe let's say I have one division box here and I want to present this output in this division box. So you guys know the power of JavaScript. In JavaScript, if you have some text string or output or input, okay, without reloading the page, we can present this output anywhere. Okay, so that's what guys I showed you. But the interesting thing is, till date, all the practical we have done. Okay, same page we have the JavaScript, same page we have the content, same page we're getting the content, same page we are changing the content again without reloading. But here the big difference is, okay, we are getting the content from some other website and some other URL. Okay, one of the good example, if I talk about, so this page, okay, you can think this page is a Google search engine page. Okay, front end page. So this page I'm talking about. Okay. So this is a page where I don't have to reload this page. Okay, this page come up, right? But if I type something, you can see there's a lot of output come up. So this output is not there in my browser. This output come up. Okay. So from where the output come up. So whatever we're typing, our JavaScript take these things to the one of the internal website or the URL of the Google company only, that is normally known as search engine of the Google. They run these things, they give the output, and the output come back to us again to JavaScript. And JavaScript presented this output over here. Now it is a visual JavaScript where I want to present, but they present the output over here. This is one of the example. Otherwise, if you go almost to any of the website, you will see whenever you see anything that is not the part of your main page, but for clicking somewhere, you're taking the mouse somewhere, and some output come from somewhere. Okay, so mostly this is the normal scenario. Okay, one of the good scenario maybe sometimes you see some tweet feeds come up. There mostly they use this kind of concept. Again, the final concept name is Ajax, but I'll come to this term in very detail in a minute. Okay, if you talk about chat, mostly in chat we have a lot of more things all there, but the core is this one. So without reloading the page, what somebody is chatting to you, this message come to you, what you're typing, you hit enter, you don't have to refresh the page, only that part will take the output or input from some other to whom you are chatting, or maybe some centralized chat program server. Okay, so let's forget about this concept, but these examples, but let's focus again back to this particular example over here. Okay, so what I'm talking about, so my requirement is here very simple. Okay, when I do something in this page, they go internal in some page. Okay, they run the things and give me output back. Sometimes guys, these kind of pages or this kind of URL also known as backend. So for me, this page or this URL would be backend. Okay, now this backend would be in my company server, in the same server, with a different page name, or maybe some running in some other server or other company maybe. Or for me, means LWSTML page perspective, this would be my backend or backend server or backend program, something like this. So if you want to do so, what I'm trying to explain to you guys over here. Okay, so here we will take the help of JavaScript. As a JavaScript, do one thing, you on my behalf go to this server, ask this page to run. And guys, you know what, whenever you go to any page, what you do first, you just type this URL and hit enter. Okay. Technically guys, this concept is normally known as open. So we are asking to open this page. And you guys know one more thing, guys. If for one client to server, if you connect, okay, especially from the browser, we normally use a protocol called HTTP. HTTP. And that's what, guys, we written. It's not visible here, but if you copy paste this URL and paste in your notepad, you can say start with HTTP. Okay, so we use a protocol HTTP. So we say client is the one who is going to server and ask that I want to come to you via HTTP protocol. I'm coming to one of your page. Can you please help me to open this page? Open technically means we want to run this page technically, but here normally we use the word called open. And one more vocabulary I want to give you guys here is anybody who know a little bit about web development, this this kind of programming. If you go and to open any of the page, normally with HTTP, so this kind of request is known as get request. Get request, also sometimes known as get method. So technically we say in this way, we are using HTTP protocol doing a get request to open the page. And this request, guys, we are sending. So who will send this request? Right, we are not the one who's sending. On our behalf, behind the scene, JavaScript will send it. Okay, so technically what happened behind the scene? This page come to know that somebody is want to come to this page, open this page, technically means run this page. Or because if they want run this page run, and after the page run, this page always give the output. Okay, so what output of this page, it will come back to us. To whom? Again, to the JavaScript. The JavaScript is the one who called this. Okay, and this output sometimes also known as response. Or maybe we can use the word called response text. Okay, so these are some few vocabulary we have to use also while writing the code. Okay, one more thing I want to tell you guys, JavaScript is just a one programming language. In JavaScript, we have a lot of functions available to do the multiple thing. But if you ask JavaScript, go open this page, send this request via get method. Okay, then keep on waiting. And as soon as you get the response, okay, take this response and put somewhere. Okay, but technically, if you talk about this open, send, and response, okay, so for this in the JavaScript, we have a function available. This function help us to send the HTTP request, because technically, if you click on any pages, it is a HTTP request. Okay, so in JavaScript, we have a function called XML HTTP request is actually name of the function. It's also known as XHR. That's we're going to use today. Okay, so let me show you guys what I'm talking about. Okay, but these are the code that we are going to use. Okay, so plan is simple, right? When I click on this link, or let me change a little bit in my code. Okay, so let me create one button here, and I click on the button. Okay, some function will run. Let's say a Linux world function. Okay, let's me click. Okay, button. Let me remove this line. I don't want this. Okay, so somebody click on this button. This function will run. Okay, what this function will do, that's what we would like to discuss right now. But right now we don't have any function here. Refresh, nothing is happening, but there's no function available. If you see the developer console, F12 if you press, okay, and if I refresh, right click, so there's an error come up and they say function is not defined. So as technically, if any error come in HTML says JavaScript, so normally browser don't show the error in the screen. We can take the help of this developer console to see what is happening, what kind of error we are getting. Okay, so helpful, but what I want, when I click this, Okay, this content will be replaced the output of this content. Okay, so let me a little bit change here. I don't want this. Let me better give the ID. ID is D1, for example. Okay, so what I want finally, okay, I want when I click here, this content will be replaced. We have seen these guys with the inner HTML. Okay, inner HTML, we have seen this. Okay, but we use inner HTML, but the content we have seen till date is this content coming from the same page. In my JavaScript, somewhere I add the content and replace from here and there. So here the requirement is different. Okay, when I click this, this content will change, but the content or response come from very different URL or different website. For example, from here. So this output hello will be replaced over here. That's the target. Okay. So for this, we have to take the help of JavaScript. So what we'll do, we'll create a script here. I'm putting a function here. You can give function a name. Let me use the elder function because this function we are calling here. Okay. Now in this function, what we are going to do, I'll tell JavaScript. Okay, I will do this concept what I discussed, guys, right now to you. So I want something like this. So for this, guys, there is one function available in the JavaScript called XML HTTP request, where XML H and R is in capital. So I want to use this function. Let me store this function in a variable called XHR. It's just a variable name. Okay, so this function I would like to use. Okay, and in this function, technically, guys, this is not actually a function. It is a one kind of class. Anybody who know about the classes. So by this, we are creating an object here. For those who by chance don't know the class, doesn't matter. Just think it is a function. But normally, because it's a class, this we have to use a keyword called new here. Okay, so new means we are creating an object here. Okay. So what is class object? Again, we are not going to discuss in this class right now. Okay. Now, important thing is here is in this particular variable, okay, what I want to do. So my first requirement is I want to open this URL via get method. So for this, we have an open function. An open function, guys, you have to give three keywords. One is get. You're sending a request, which method, post, and other method also we have in HTTP, if you guys know. But here I'm going to send a request with get method. Which URL? So guys, it will be any of the URL, but let me use the URL where I want to send my request, CGI bin linuxworld.p. So this particular URL we are sending the request. Okay. And one more thing I have to put here, this function support three argument, method name, which URL you want to send the request, and one concept that I explain you in very detail in a minute. Okay, but right now I'm putting false here. What I mean by this, I'll explain you this concept in very detail. Okay, so this is what, guys, I write here. So I ask my JavaScript that I'm preparing to you to send the request to this URL. Okay, but when you send, when I ask you to send. So guys, here there's a function called send function. So this function, guys, is now this one. You can think this is just a way, just you're typing something here. You're typing something, it means you're preparing yourself your browser. Okay, this is like open function. But if you hit enter, this goes send. So when you send this request, there's a function called send you can write. Okay, so that's what we have. That's all, guys. This is done. And now, because you're sending the request, a reply will come up. Okay, so some reply or some output will come up. So guys, JavaScript. So what output come up? It'll go to JavaScript only. JavaScript stored in a special word or vocabulary or property called response text. So if you remember, I told you we have an inner HTML. So any content that you see here, it's stored in inner HTML. Any content you see in the input box is stored in value property. Similarly, any input come from different URL is stored in a property called request text. Okay, so I can say XHR, there's one property inside you that's called response text. The T I think is capital letter. Okay. So so guys, any request come from this URL as an output. So let me write here as a comment. So output from above URL. Again, guys, this output this website decide, this URL decide what output they want to send. But what output they send, they stored in this particular variable or property. Okay, let me store, guys, this in a variable called X, or maybe in the O variable. Output variable is. Okay, so output variable contain this. Now, guys, now in the JavaScript, if you have a content in some variable, you can use this content the way you want. Right. So example, what I'll do, I'll tell my JavaScript, I have a document. In the document, we have a get element. I think he is capital by ID. And my element name is D1. D1. What I want, go inside inner HTML. Okay, and replace this content with the output. What output you're getting from outside, replace with it. That's all, guys. So that's the only thing we have to do. Guys, I haven't used the word here called Ajax because this is not Ajax. Okay, this is what the things that I explained to you. So what is Ajax? I'll add some point here. It become Ajax for you. Okay, but let me first run this code and try to show you if I have no error, no syntax mistakes. So what will come? So let us refresh this page. The code load. Maybe you can see this code come up because JavaScript code, it always go to a client. Okay, but what happened, guys, when I click here? Okay, interesting thing about it is without reloading this page, my JavaScript go to this URL, get the output here by says hello, hello, and they posted here. Okay, if I click here, see here, fantastically it is working. It means if something change in your server, what I mean by this, okay, if something change in your server, okay, maybe they change from hello to hi Linux world. So the interesting thing, one thing, this is the page running in the server, putting my code in my server. My developer is keep on changing the content. Okay, or maybe this content coming from a database content is keep on changing. Okay, so everything is happening in the backend server. Okay, in backend, client have nothing to do. Client don't have to refresh the page even. And this is my first time you see here, guys, without refreshing the page. If I click here, automatically my content change. Even though this content is not never the part of my main page. Okay, they go to server, and at this point in time, whatever server has the content as a static content right now, this content coming from databases. If you know how to kind databases. Okay, so my database keep on changing. Whatever output this page show. Now for output, they need some databases to get the output, or some live streaming, or some other thing. Okay, they can do it. Whatever output, guys, they show it come to client. Client don't have to refresh the page. So just sitting in the single page without reloading, the content is keep on coming. Right now we are clicking, but we can put in the for loop. I show you some of the example of JavaScript. By taking the mouse, we can use the set timeout function. After every second, millisecond, they keep on refreshing. Maybe some more way you can use. Okay, to get the output. Okay, but I normally I like this things. I just change in the server. Okay, thing is changing only in the server. Means over here in the backend. Okay, client don't have to know or refresh automatically as they click or they do some events, the new content gonna come from this service. It's very interesting. Now this content is output. Now this output would be a normal string, or maybe anybody who know Python. So in the Python we have a module called OS module, and in OS module, okay, in OS module, or maybe there's a module called sub process in the Python, if you know. Okay, and in sub process module we have function called get output. Yeah, this is a pure Python code, nothing about JavaScript. You can use your favorite language like PHP or Node to do the same kind of thing. Okay, and here guys we can pass Linux commands. One of the command of Linux is d, and this command let me store in a O variable. And what I'm doing, I'm printing O. Let me comment this line. Okay, so what this Python code will print, they run the date command for you. Okay, and print the output of the date command. Guys, you know this is a backend code. Whatever they print, it come to server. Let me show you from here. So whatever print, it come here, or because this is the date. This second is keep on changing. If I again refresh, it's changed. But here I directly hitting my backend pages. Now we don't require again go to my front end, even though I don't have to refresh, right? A lot of code I've changed, guys. If you see in the backend, I don't have to refresh. I click here, latest new updated code gonna come. Gonna come. Okay, let me do one small changes. Maybe you don't want date command, you want cal command. Okay, so click cal command output. Guys, by chance the cal command output actually you see here. But if I refresh this, okay, the cal command output normally come in this format. But you guys know about HTML. Whatever guys you present the HTML, every line, new line become a one single line. But if you want to print output as is, that's coming from the server. Okay, so in HTML, we have a tag called pre. So what I'll do, I go to my code again. So let me open this code. No, sorry, not this code. Open this code, and while giving the output, okay, or maybe here before the division, I can use pre-tag, pre-start and pre-close. Let's go pre-formatted. Whatever come inside the pre, it is a pre-formatted. Means, let me show you. Again, without refreshing, if I click here, so now we have to refresh because I've changed actually my main code. Okay, because this is the main code I've changed. Let me refresh once. Now if I click, you can see the output come pre-formatted. I have to refresh because I've changed directly in this code because I've changed some in there JavaScript and HTML. You don't have to do normally. We normally change the JavaScript HTML only when we have some look and feel to change or front end to change. Otherwise, we keep on changing the content of backend. And on technically, we don't have to always change the content of backend also. Okay, so backend code normally we have Python or Ruby or PHP. They connect to database. From there, they keep on pulling the new information, and what information pulling, they keep on showing you here. Something like this. Okay, so this is one thing you can do. Okay, now one more thing I just want to show you over here. This code is not working very fine, but this code is not at all the Ajax. What I mean by this? Okay, so to demonstrate, guys, in this code we have one challenge. The challenge is, let's say in this code I'm putting one division here with some name. ID sorry, D2, and let's say division 2 closed. And here guys, I'm creating some on click and just calling alert function. Okay, put single quote because double quote inside double quote doesn't work. Okay, so nothing very special here, simple code I have changed. Refresh, you click here, the alert function work fine. No challenge. Okay, but you know what the big challenge here is in this code is, let's say okay, I'll again go to my backend code. Backend code. And let's say, guys, when you run any backend code, right now we are running a very basic command, cal command or print command. Let's say if you talk about Google, so you send the data to Google and Google starts searching in the Google search engine databases. Maybe they're searching in millisecond, but maybe while searching they might take 5 seconds. Or maybe you're doing something in a backend code, and this backend code maybe take, let's say, 10 seconds or 20 seconds. Okay, so what happened? So let's say let's manually make this program delay. So there's a one function in the Python called time function. And in the function, guys, what I'm going to do in time function, there's a function called sleep. By this, I'm getting a 20-second delay over here. It means when this program run, this make this program hold for 20 seconds. This makes the program wait for 20 seconds. It means output will come after 20 seconds. Okay, so let me show you directly from this page. So if I refresh this, if you see guys, they keep on moving, or maybe show in the different page so you can see the output properly. So guys, if you see, they keep on moving. So we ask this page to run. This page is running, they're doing some process. By chance, we hold this page for 20 seconds manually. But after 20 seconds only, when this page say my process is done, now I will give the output. Okay, now they said they will get the output. Then after 20 seconds, output will come to you. Output will come to you. So I'm waiting for 20 seconds and let's see what comes up. So output come to you. Okay, now it doesn't matter you call this page by manually or you ask the page called by this button with JavaScript. Okay, so if again refresh this page, nothing happened, come up. But when I click this, now this time guys, you see output will come over here, but after 20 seconds. So I click here, just sit relax, right? You send your request, you're still in the same page, you don't have to reload. Okay, and now after 20 seconds, 10 seconds, depend, I don't know, my backend code take how much time to wait, get this pop-up come from browser by chance. After 20 seconds, your output come. Okay, so here till here nothing very special. Let me little bit change my time so it will be little bit quicker. So let me change the time for 10 seconds. Let me again refresh the page so I can clean the output. I click and after 10 seconds output will come. So guys, till here nothing is special. Everything will work the way I wanted to work. But here we have challenge. Challenge here is the way I have constructed this code. Okay, if lots of function running here, for example, this is also one function here. When I click, other function run. Okay, but guys, right now the way I constructed this code, which code? The JavaScript HR code. Let me again go back to this page. Directly, let me open this page. Okay, the way I constructed this code of JavaScript. Okay, what this code normally means. Normally means if somebody send this request to this page, until the time this page give you the output, okay, we will hold the entire page. Any of the functions that is going on in this page, okay, we won't allow to do. What I mean by this. Okay, right now guys, this function running, click, alert function running right now. But as soon as I click here, it's going to take 10 seconds. Now clicking on div 2 again, click, nothing. Even though guys, you see the mouse icon also might be changed. I'm clicking here and guys, nothing is working. Okay. Then if my output come, then if I click, guys, here mouse icon also change. Then this way. So technically, the way we have created this code, they say if this code require 10 seconds, 100 minutes, we don't know. Till the time this will won't give you a reply, we will hold all other functions. We won't allow any of the function to be interact to be run with this. I can say in parallel. Okay, only first they run, this output come, then only I will allow other function to run. Again, this concept is known as JavaScript synchronous request, sync. Okay, this is called JavaScript sync or JavaScript synchronous concept. Sync means run first, sync with this, then run second, third, fourth, one by one. But one is going on. At the same time, if you want second also run, we won't allow. Okay, we won't allow. That's what is happening here. Let me show you one more time quickly. Click here, it's still going on. 10 seconds they're going to consume. If I try to click, nothing is working. This guy is synchronous. And guys, why they are working on synchronous here? Because here we have used a keyword called where it is. Here we can use the keyword called false. This false means send the request in a synchronous way. Okay, that's what guys the meaning of false here. False means ask the JavaScript XML and HTTP request function to send the request synchronous. But if you want to do something like this, okay, that you send this request. I don't know how much time it's gonna take, 10 seconds or maybe 100 minutes. This request is keep on processing on the server. When server is ready for the output, they will respond. After respond, my JavaScript correct, and they will print somewhere. I don't want to wait for this guy. They keep on running. I will. I can do further things. You can think something like this in the Facebook. This is the option where you start searching on the top, and this option where you check. So if you start searching and searching takes some time, so we just send the request. They keep on searching on the parallel in the top, but in the down, I keep on doing chatting in parallel. So both the activity in single page without refreshing, doing in parallel. Okay, and guys, this concept is called async. 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 So if you want, this function will run in parallel. So the role of async come in. Okay, and guys, if you want to implement JavaScript with the async, okay, async is called asynchronous. Okay, guys, then that's the name of the topic is asynchronous JavaScript and XML. XML because right now we are using the function something like XML. Okay, so this concept is called Ajax, where everything is same. The only big difference is, and the main difference is, they give in web development a technique that by one single page without refreshing or reloading, multiple functions go. Maybe I can create multiple buttons here. When I click, they go to this URL. When I click, they go to other URL. Multiple guys go together. They run on their server. The output come to us. When output come, we print in the respective location. And same time, we are also working in other functions. Okay, there's a power of Ajax, right? So otherwise, if Ajax is not there, So if you've done something in your one page, you have to wait for maybe 1 second, 10 seconds to get the output. Then you can interact with other buttons and other functions. So it doesn't good for user experience, guys. You say, if I do something, my page become hang. So it is something like your page become hang. So I say you click on the button, my page hang till the output come up. But here there's no meaning of hang. They're still working in the background. JavaScript is waiting for that guy output come up, and as our output come up, they retrieve the output and place wherever you want to do. And for this, you have to change the false to true. That's all. Now we are sending the request in async way, asynchronous. Technically, we are using Ajax here. Okay, let's see what happens if I do so. We are change something in JavaScript directly. Let me change my code. Okay, let me click here. Or will come after 10 seconds. And same time, if you click, this is also working here. Nothing special. So this output is coming in 10 seconds, but my other function also working in parallel. That's what I wanted. That's the meaning of true. Okay. So the thing that I wanted is working fine, but the challenge here is after 10 seconds, guys, you're not getting any input. You're not getting an output. Okay. Why? because we will tell my JavaScript, this guy, okay, JavaScript of this page, and say JavaScript, you have a lot of function in this page, okay, but I'm using you to send the request to this server in async way. It means, okay, just send the guy there, request there, wait for the output, and let's us as a customer client try to use your other function. Don't hang this page. Try to use other function in parallel. Let's go async way. But you will do one thing behind the scene. Just keep on tracking the output is coming or not. And as soon as the output come up, just post the output somewhere wherever we ask you to post. Maybe here. So right here, JavaScript will do one more thing. Okay, just keep on waiting for the output. Okay, keep on checking for the output, I can say. Okay, by the same time, we also let us allow to do our thing. So from here, guys, we have a special event called onLoad event. Okay, so so guys, we have a special event that's normally is a part of XHR. It's called onLoad event. Okay, this event has a capability right, to keep on checking this output come up, okay, in parallel. Okay, normally, guys, if you run this kind of things, they will run only once. When you send this, when you run this, so I can say in this way, the better way would be to say, right now, let me comment this line. Right now, if you go to again false here to give you better understanding what I'm doing right now. Okay, so if I refresh, okay, when I click, why your page hang? Nothing is working here. Click. When I click this, why this hang? Because of this line. This line say, till I won't get the response, I won't go next. I won't allow to run other things. So this is the line, guys, who create this trouble in sync one. So what I'm going to do, I'll tell this line, or I can say these two lines, because this two line will also give you the output also in this inner estimate. So what I'll do, I'll put this line in one function. Okay, let's say the function name may be LW1. Function. Okay, in this function. So now, guys, what happened? If you put anything in the function, now it is in your control. This line never run till you call this function. This line only run when you call this function. But what is the right time to call this function or this keyword? Only when the output comes. For example, right now, Click here. If output is not coming, so why am my JavaScript still waiting? Why am I this line is still waiting? So meaning of this line only come when the output comes, maybe after 10 seconds or 1 minute. So I put this entire line in one function. Okay, or so we call this function only when when output comes. So who will track output come to you or not? After 10 seconds or 20 seconds, we don't know how much time it's going to take. So for this guys, we have a function called onload. Or event, I can say not function, event called onload. This event has a capability to check output come or not. Okay, so as soon output come up, they this event run. You guys know event, right? So as I click here, click this event. So event is what? If you're doing something, is event. So when output come also, this also one event. So when output come, Java is come to know one output come up. So they automatically run this event. But now we'll tell this event which function to run. I say this function to run. Okay, so this function only run or only run when this guys run, or this event run when some output come. So when output come, this function run. When this function run, this run, because this is the one who caused my browser to be hang up. Now it won't hang up because now as soon as this function run, output we have, so they quickly update in their respective places. Okay. Now guys, one more small syntax of JavaScript I want to tell you is if you're calling some function for you to create it also. Okay, so you can do guys both the thing in one single line. Rather than create the function separately and call separately, I can do the same thing in single line. Okay, so same line, we are also creating the function and calling the function. And guys, any function you create in the same line, call in the same line, so there's no meaning to give the function name also. Why we give the function name? Because you have to use this function name somewhere to call. Because creating the function, calling the function same line, so there's no meaning to give function name also. And this kind of function is sometimes also known as anonymous function or lambda function. But here the syntax is you have to give a function this kind of way. You don't have to give the function name. So same location, we are creating the function, and same location we are also calling the function. But this function only call when some content comes. So this is the way guys we can handle this kind of issue. And now I'm going to use true here for asynchronous. Okay, so let me refresh this code to clean my output. When I click, it takes 10 seconds, but my 10 seconds, I can do other activity also in this page. So when I click, okay, so I can see this activity also going on. See, nothing stops. After 10 seconds, when output come up, the output will be presented here. See here? So output also come up, things work the way I wanted without refreshing the page. So I don't have to refresh this page. I want my content come from different page. I also want when this output take a second to process in the server. I don't want my page to be hang up. I want to do other operation also in parallel. Everything guys go on in parallel. Okay, so this is the power of Ajax. It's something like this. Anybody who know multi-threading, something like this. Okay, so two functions they are running in parallel. So you can think in this, not exactly, but something like multi-threaded. Okay, so I guess this is Ajax. But we'll talk guys a little bit more about Ajax. And after this next concept, you can create lots of interesting concept. After this, if you want to integrate JavaScript, machine learning, or Docker, or Kubernetes, or cloud, you can do very easily. How? We'll see in the next step. Okay. So what I'm doing, guys, right now, let's do right now till here. I just need 10 minutes of break. It's 12:20. We'll continue at 12:30. Just 10-minute break. By the meantime, if you want to take the break, that's okay. Otherwise, just try to grasp this concept. So let's continue. So what would be next plan? Okay, so I want to create something like this. Right now, if you see this page, this page behind the scene getting the output from this page. In this code, if I open this code as my backend code, okay, in this code, if I present you here, let me open this code. Okay, in this code, let me comment this line. I don't need timer now. My command is fixed. So this is guys one of Linux command, or maybe you want to print something, maybe hello or hi, your name maybe. Okay, so if anybody call this function, file, the output is fixed. Okay, output is fixed means backend is giving the fixed output to you. Okay, that's what guys you can see. Fixed output you see. But here, what I want, okay, I want my front end will decide what they want to do. For example, they want to print name Vimal, so Vimal or hello Vimal, length of the Vimal, want to retrieve some image, or maybe they can decide what command they want to print here. It would be anything. Okay, so what I want, my front end will decide which command output they're presenting. Okay, again, this is command, but it would be anything. So how we can do so? For this, we have to change something in my backend code, and say when somebody come to you, don't fix with the cal command. Okay, don't fix with some command or some output maybe. Okay, instead you fix it, take the input from the customer. Again, that's one thing, guys. Any program, doesn't matter language, with Python or Node or maybe Java, any program that run in the server, this goes server, server end program or server side program. Okay, server side program. Here, my case is Python. So any program that run in the server means we never see the code as a customer or the client. We only ask them to run and give us the output. That's this program is going right now. They're doing right now. Any program, guys, where client say I want to run this program or run this URL. Okay, but at the same time, my client also say, as my, let's say my page name is lw.py. So client say while running this code, I will also give my input. Okay, so guys, if you want to give your input from the client to one of the page before you run. Okay, so there's a one typical syntax we use in our browser. Something like this. Okay, something like this. After this page, you type question mark, give some variable name, let's say x, and give your value, let's say v1. Okay, if you hit enter, by chance output doesn't change because in my code I still have cal command running behind the scene. Because I haven't saved this page yet. Output didn't save, but this is the way we as a customer or the client, we are giving some value Vimal in a variable called x to this page. Now this is a page duty written in Python or PHP or Node. This is page duty. Does they want to accept this input or not? We can give the input, but client can decide does they accept this input or not. Okay, so for example, let's say my server say or this page developer say, and now we can accept this input. What a value come in x, I will retrieve it and use it. For this language to language, we have a different way function available. But if you talk about the Python, in the Python, there is a keyword function called in the CGI module. This is a module we have loaded. In the CGI module, we have a function called field storage. Okay, let me store in a variable called, let's say, f. Okay, what this will do, so whatever field come up, so this is also known as field, guys. These are the fields. Field come up, they store in the variable called f. Okay, and in the f variable, what can we say? We can say whatever value of the x come up, okay, stored in a variable, let's say in cmd. Okay, that's all. There's 2 lines of code in the Python we write, in PHP underscore get kind of function keyword we have. Language to language, function name may be different, but concept is same. Nothing different here. So this line say, if client is coming with x variable only, because I only accept x variable. If client come with x variable, whatever value they have, I will retrieve and put in same. Okay, and let me try to print the CMD, what a CMD give to you. Let me comment this lines for a while. Okay, so now when I hit this URL, you can see the way will come. If I hit something, sorry, some other name, let's say yes. So whatever we are, guys, giving a value in x, this function now accept. They go take the value of x and print. That's so if you go to my CGI video, I explain this concept there also in very detail. Okay, now your choice where you want to use CMD. So let me comment this line, or let me use here. So here I'm using variable called CMD. Okay, so this is the, guys, extra thing for you. It's not part of JavaScript. Just I'm giving you. The point is not, I'm not trying to explain you Python. I'm trying to explain the concept by the help of Python code. The same concept apply for other server-side language also. Syntax is different, but concept is exactly the same. Okay, now what happened? What happened if I type one of the command date, output of date come in play. I type one of the command in Linux called list, output list command come in play. When I type some of the output called cal, so cal output come in. Because this output we are running in this function, and this function give me output back as a command output. So now, guys, I changed something in my backend code. The backend code say, right, if anybody want to open me, okay, they have to pass this also, guys. This is also known as query string. So they have to pass query string over here. Now either you open manually or somebody open like this by this one. Okay, so my intention is not directly open this page in this way. My intention is to run that page by my front end. So this is my front end page. So what I'll do, I'll go to my front end page again. I do some changes in my backend. Now front end page, what I'm doing, I'm just changing my URL. Instead of this URL, I'll passing my query string. And x equals to, let's say, date. Okay. So now what happened? Now what happened when let me refresh my front end. When I click this, because in this front end, guys, I mentioned this URL just go with this variable, okay, or this query string, give them whatever they do as output, take me and post here. So guys, here they posted it, the date come up. But now this time, guys, there's small difference. Last time, okay, we have put our commands in backend code as a hard coded. Now in backend, I don't have any command. Okay, now my command is I'm putting, or what I'm doing here, I'm putting in my front end. Even though by chance it is hard coded, I fixed the date command here. But the good thing is it's a front end, and front end is purely controlled by your clients or the customers. Backend code, none of the customer can control. Okay, they can't change it. If there's somebody fixed, for example, something, they will always say hello only. So hello will print. They will say date command will run. The only date command will run. So I just shift the entire context or control to the front end. And now because this is front end, now we can do one interesting thing. Okay, right now rather than I fix date command here, I can ask my customer which command you want to run. How? Simple. So in my front end, over here, over here, we can type input box. Or maybe here I can say enter your command or output or input, what do you want to say. And every input box, as we give some unique name, like IN1. Let me use new line BR here. Okay, so what it show you, this box. Now whatever type here, let's say cal. Okay, you guys know how to retrieve this value. Yesterday I showed to you. So to retrieve any value from any input box, we have a value property. So I say anybody click on this function. This function will go and use document by element ID. ID. Okay, and here ID is IN1. ID of my this box. You see the source code. ID of this box. In this box, whatever value they have stored, maybe I variable. Okay, and now what to do? I contain my value. Value here, let's say cal, your name, what you want to do. Okay, and this value I will pass here. That's all. But other one small thing is, if you put anything in double quote, it will become a normal string. So I will close my string and I concurrent this. There's no space here. So x equals to, then what value of I is will concurrent and become one single string. Now what benefit you'll get by this code? You get something like okay. So maybe let me rename this name also. It doesn't look good name. So let's say here we have we'll have okay. So so this is my one small app created where there's a front end. My client has to load this front end only once. Okay, without without reloading again. Okay, or without hang up. Okay, if I run something here, this command will go to my backend. My server running somewhere in the world, doesn't matter. Okay, when they are ready, they give the output, and my output will be presented. Click. So say output command. Now client has a way to control the things. Without reloading the page, everything gonna come up the way I wanted. I want it. Or maybe some output might take some time, but I can do the something in also other things in parallel. Other being parallel because this is Ajax. Okay, so but guys, here there's no look and feel I said here is because it's not CSS. You can set interesting look and feel, but it's like a yeah, this is like a live command prompt. So anybody guys, sorry, ever work on Linux, right? You know, this kind of prompt I have created. We run the date command, with the cal command, same kind of live prompt. Or maybe you can give a look and feel of something like a live command prompt. Okay, so maybe rather than I print enter my CMD, I can give something like this: square bracket has root local host the symbol. Nothing is just a string, but it give me this kind of syntax. Okay, so we type something here, enter, and they give out. So this is like a look and feel, just write whatever to do, but it's a live prompt come. Okay, but this concept, guys, this is one small application I've created for you. Every bit explained to you. So this is a front end. We have the back end. We connect the back end. Now in the back end, if you know databases, connect for the databases to retrieve data from here, print put here, present here. So what I want to do, you can do it further. That would be your your requirement. Okay, but this is the same concept everywhere. Whatever language you use, the concept won't change. Okay, and JavaScript perspective, syntax won't change. Everything will be the same. Just change your URL of your favorite language, JavaScript, or sorry, not JavaScript, Node, PHP, or whatever you want to use. Okay, now, let me tell you one more interesting thing. Those who by chance know further technologies, okay, especially I'm talking about more about the Earth student, because they know lots of uh, futuristic or current technology in the market. Okay, so you guys, or maybe other guys, maybe some students or other students over here or candidate here, if you know any other technologies, what can you do? You can integrate with this logic. So in the backend code, okay, you can write the code for Dockers, you can write the code for Kubernetes, you can write the code for AWS cloud, you can write the code for big data, machine learning, or deep learning. Or maybe what can you do? You, if you guys know about machine learning, deep learning, you can train your model, okay, and put your model here in this code. And model, there is a function called predict. So something like this. So let's say this is my prediction program. We're predicting something here. So we shall type some number. Okay, maybe this number be your average time you spend in your study per week. Okay, and based upon the model, the whatever you have created, the model give the prediction for something, for result or something like that. So this value again go to your backend code, this code. Okay, and in this backend code, here we can load our module. Also, I can say model. So those who know machine learning deep learning, they know what I'm talking about. And there's a function of prediction. So this value X will put in the prediction and they give the output. That's all. So without reloading the page, okay, and anybody can come and put their different data and start predicting. Okay, so this will be one of the further things you can build on the top of this. Or those who by chance know, let's say, about Docker, right? Sorry, I'm so sorry, I'll just a little bit increase my voice. Docker. So I can directly type Docker command. And you can see total number of Dockers or running right now. So click here. So by chance we don't have permission to execute this. So anybody who know Docker, okay, and by chance some of my classes I have explained you how to give some extra power permission to the Docker. Let me try to do it very quickly. Again, this is not part of this JavaScript, but there might be some security reason. Let me stop the security. This might be reason. Click. Again, we have same error. We have some more error. The the what I have to do. Let me check very quickly. This improvement. Let me try to do if I can do here. So this is the file where what I'll do. I'll tell my Docker group that you are now member of Apache's web server. So I'm giving some extra power for somebody. I think it might not work or might work. Let me check. Okay, it's not working. Let me do one more small thing. So again, guys, this is a different concept. If you guys know Linux, so those things we normally do there. Sudo. So there's a file where it gives some extra power to some user that I already given already. So this line you have to write here. What Apache is my web server name, and web server is the one where we are giving the power to run everything. But for this, in your backend code, you write some extra command with CMD. This goes to do space plus. So sudo in the list have extra power. So we are providing our web server Apache. Apache is my web server name. that you run with the power of sudo, means like a unlimited power. Because some of the command need some extra power or privileges. Now I'm giving to you. So there's an extra concept just for extra knowledge. As such, we don't need to in the JavaScript. Maybe. So I think now it should work. Now the output come up. So anybody who know Docker, so from here we can check how many Docker container. So anybody by chance don't know Docker, you can think Docker is a way to launch the operating system just in 1 second. Something like this we have created. Okay, so just for testing purpose, therefore testing purpose, what I'm doing right now, I'm launching a Docker directly from here. Docker run IDIT with some name. That is a pure Docker command, D1234, and I'm using the CentOS. Okay, so this is one of the command through which I can launch one operating system just in 1 second, one click. Sorry, one click here. This OS launch. How I know? Because every OS they gives me the ID. The ID given. Now from here I can check that those who know Docker, they know this command. Okay, so I run Docker PS. I can say how many OS running. You can see guys, this OS 14 seconds ago will launch. Even though to verification purpose, you can also check here also Docker PS. You can see one OS will launch. Okay, so multiple applications we have. Okay, even though by printing this thing, you can use HTML table, right, to print in this guy in a tabular format. Okay, we give button here. By the same way that I click the button here, when I click this button, the content stop, start. Okay, something like this we can do. We can create an entire front end and back end application for Docker technology, for Kubernetes technology, for AWS. So those who know guys, AWS, it was there in my AWS classes, or by chance if you know. Okay, same thing. I just click here. I just give my my AMI name or my image name AWS. Click. They go to AWS cloud and launch the cloud. Okay, so tons of things we can create by connecting front end and back end together. Plus, front end is a back end guys is the way. Front end is a way to present the thing. Back end is a way who will do something for you. But if you don't know technology, nothing gonna happen, right? So what do you do? I know Docker, so I'm doing something. So technology's knowledge will gonna help you to do something for a real example or realistic work or for the industry. Okay, so I'm just giving guys this as a homework. Anybody want to do this kind of homework, you can do, but it is homework for the earth student or for the summer student especially. Okay, to create application especially for the Docker. From a single page, I can control all the Docker thing. I can see all the Docker running. Here I can stop the Docker, terminate the Docker, launch a new one that I show to you, but something like that. Okay, create this one single application. Maybe this application might be used for the industry. They might don't have this kind of application for the Docker, or maybe for the Kubernetes, whatever you guys know. Just I'm giving example. So yeah, so this would be a new project for open source. Okay, where multiple things pieces together, we are creating something front end, back end, all of the things. But this training guys focus more on the front end part as the JavaScript part. Okay, so guys, you also get the idea. So where Ajax gonna use. If you don't have Ajax, you know what happened, guys? Every time I'm clicking, I have to refresh the page. Okay, even though checking this output also, I have to refresh the page. But because of the Ajax, open the application once, and that's all. Right, your code gonna. Guys, this example. In this example, sorry, go to our code. Okay, in this example, by chance, this URL is supporting get method, so I'm doing everything for the get. But maybe guys, some of the example they also take the input in the post request. So here you to change the post. Okay, and plus guys, in the post normally we have to pass some kind of encode type. This called URL encoded that you have to pass over here. It's called header. That's the only thing. Otherwise, almost everything is same. So if your backend has a post support, post request support, then this is a small change we have to do. Okay, so those code you can get guys directly from the internet, nothing special. If no post request, you guys know, you just change the post. You don't have to pass the data in this format, and you pass some header and your output, whatever sending in the post header. Okay, so that's what you have to do. One more last thing, guys, about this JavaScript. Guys, till yesterday and today, I'm just trying to show you multiple view, multiple use case, multiple scenarios I'm trying to explain you that you can solve. Okay, and a lot of different kind of code and approach I've given to you. Based on this code, you can create whatever you want to do. Okay, but based upon your agenda, there's one more topic we have. Let me very quickly cover this topic. Nothing as such useful right now, according to my example, but it's good to know because some of the example, some of the examples you guys might need this. So example, if your data coming in JSON format, okay, is one kind of format. Okay, well, most of the backend send the data to you as a JavaScript in this kind of format. Okay, that's called JSON format. So what is JSON? I'm not going to explain you. Okay, even the pretty simple thing, nothing special here. Okay, very quickly in one single line, if I can explain to you, you want to send your name, so or maybe your phone number. Okay, normally guys, we always send a value in some kind of variable, like name variable or phone variable. Why? So my server will use, because they don't know what value I'm sending, so because they know the variable name, so that they can use it. But for this, we have to use some kind of syntax. So syntax would be something like this. After the colon, maybe you can use colon. We put everything in the single block. So this is one of the information we are sending. Okay, and maybe this is known as a variable or key. So this is one of the key, then comma, this is one of my key. So value, this is one of my keys, so key value. So this format is known as JSON in the simplest definition. Okay, so this is JSON. So most of servers send front end, or maybe front end send backend information. Right now, guys, the information that I was sending is x equals to date. So they are sending information mostly in JSON format. This one. So let's say server is sending information in JSON format. How your JavaScript process this? Okay. So for this, what I'm doing, again, I'll go to my Visual Studio Code and let me run it locally. Let me create one more new code. j.html. Okay. So let's say I'm going to write a script. My JavaScript. Okay. And let's say we have one variable. And here I have a data in JSON format. Same data, let me post here. So this data, let's say, come from server. Let's say come from Ajax. Okay, so come in this form. Okay, so this is your JSON. Now plan is, if you want to print X, is nothing special. You can print X with alert. But what I want, my plan is to take the value of the name. Or maybe I want to print the mobile number, not the entire thing. So technically this is a JSON. So if you want to guys go inside JSON, I want to retrieve one key and the respective values. So this concept is called parser. So there's one function called guys JSON here, and they have a function called parser. We can give our JSON name. That's all. Now it means now JSON know this function will help JavaScript to tell this is the variable, this is the value, this is the key, this is the value. It's a comma separate. So key value pair or maybe attribute value pair come up. And let me store guys this in a variable, let's say in y variable. Now, if you want to print particular value, let me use alert. By chance, if I print y, what gonna come up? Let me show you. So if I run this code, sorry. So where's my browser? What happened? So if I run this code, yeah. So guys, here they say by some variable name comma, it is called normally object. Is a list. Why list? Because we have multiple values. Okay, but here my plan is to only print name or maybe only phone number. So I can say why inside you we have a name. Just go and print only the name. Okay. So now if I refresh this page, you can see guys only they retrieve the name. Or if I want to print phone, so guys think this entire value come from Ajax or from a server. A lot of servers send the value in this format. Okay, guys can hold for a second, please. Okay, so this value comes somehow to you, but now in this value, whatever key value you want to retrieve, this is the just parse it. Technically parse means they know I know this is variables, because I know this variable, so I can retrieve the value of it. Okay, so now if I refresh, the value gonna come. So pretty special, nothing about to process. What is JSON as such? I don't want to detailed discussion here, but it's a plus I explained to you. JSON is a way to to print or format your object or values in some format like this. Just go JavaScript object or this. Okay, so for format there's no SS link with JavaScript. It's a way in XML, Vimal we have something like this. Okay, so maybe sometime is useful, uh, to get the code and print and use somewhere. Okay, so that's the guys about the JSON. So that's all guys. I'll try to touch multiple different aspects of JavaScript, maybe from how to integrate HTML with CSS, with backend, with Python. Lots of interesting practicals I've explained to you. Okay, a lot of small things we created. Even the guys, the animation also we created very small, but I just given you the idea. Based upon this idea, add your knowledge in CSS. Lots of powerful animation that you can normally see in real websites, or maybe whatever you haven't seen yet also, because you know now how to things work together. You can create lots of powerful animations also. But I start the things from very zero, the way I committed. I start with a variable in such a way that you have no idea. But almost all the major part of the JavaScript I touch. Uh, but as a programming language, they support while loop, they subject object oriented programming. So that I haven't touched, because if you know object oriented, you just go and see the document and use it. Use it. So my plan is not rather than talk about programming concepts like object inheritance, okay, data types. So it is, I think, it's a pure wastage of time because other programming languages have the same concept. But how to use JavaScript, where to use JavaScript more, that makes more sense. So my focus area would be here. And here I haven't used any framework. Okay, without the framework, I'll try to solve most of the things here. Okay, so that's all guys from my side. Just 2-day workshop. I'll try to touch lots of concepts and some lot of advanced concepts also. Okay, so that's all from my side.